She might seem like everything you've ever wanted, beautiful, charming, mysterious. But some women are not a blessing, they're a test. And if you fail that test, it won't just cost you time, it'll cost you peace, purpose, and pride. Men fall not because they're weak, but because they ignore the warning signs. So today we reveal 7 hidden traits of a toxic woman, traits that Stoic men must recognize early. This isn't about blame, it's about clarity. Because once you see the storm coming, you don't wait to get struck. Let's begin. Sign 1. She tests you, but never respects you. There's a difference between a woman who challenges you to grow and one who pokes, prods, and pushes just to watch you bend. Some women don't test your strength to admire it. They test it to destroy it. She plays with emotional fire, crosses verbal lines, and even flirts with others just to see how much disrespect you'll tolerate before you explode. Or worse, submit. At first you might think it's harmless. Maybe she's just fiery. Maybe it's passion. But make no mistake, when a woman repeatedly violates your boundaries and treats your no like a suggestion, she's not connecting with you. She's toying with your sense of self. And here's the Stoic truth. A man who doesn't know where his line is will always end up lost on someone else's map. Imagine this. You calmly explain what bothers you. You tell her, "I don't tolerate disrespect." She smirks. Later, she does it again, then again. Each time you let it slide, she doesn't love you more, she respects you less. Not because your standards are wrong, but because you didn't defend them with strength. Epictetus nailed it when he said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." Your identity as a man, your values, your word, your emotional boundaries should never be something she can rearrange for her amusement. If you let someone else define your worth, you become a puppet pulled by their approval. The harsh truth? Respect isn't earned by constantly accommodating her moods. It's earned by standing firm, even when it costs you something. Her approval, her affection, maybe even the relationship. Because the man who needs nothing from a woman gains the one thing that matters most, his own power. So remember, she can test you all she wants, but she'll only respect the man who doesn't flinch. Sign 2. She seeks power, not partnership. There's a dangerous type of woman who doesn't crave love. She craves control. Her every move is a subtle power play. She twists conversations into competitions. Decisions become battles, not agreements. It's not about harmony with you. It's about hierarchy over you. She doesn't want a relationship of equals. She wants a throne, and you? She wants you kneeling beneath it. This isn't feminine strength. It's disguised insecurity wrapped in dominance. The Stoics taught us that true strength is calm, measured, and rooted in reason. But her strength is chaotic, emotional, and combative. Seneca said, "No man is free who is a slave to his passions." Her passion is power, and she's enslaved to it. That's not freedom. It's internal warfare. She's not building a future with you. She's trying to rule one over you. Imagine this. You share an idea and she instantly dismisses it, not because it's flawed, but because she didn't come up with it. You offer to lead, but she fights you, not out of principle, but out of ego. Over time, you stop speaking, you stop leading, you become a shadow in your own life. And that's the slow erosion of masculine purpose. A good woman doesn't fight your leadership, she elevates it. She doesn't fear your strength, she respects it. But a toxic one, she sees your masculinity as a threat she needs to neutralize. And the longer you allow this power struggle to continue, the more disconnected you become from your core as a man. Because you weren't born to bow, you were born to build. And any woman who tries to dominate instead of walk beside you isn't a partner. She's a silent enemy. Don't compete in your own castle. Walk away before your fire is slowly extinguished. Sign 3. She lives for drama, not peace. There are women who crave peace, and then there are women who fear it, because silence forces them to face themselves. These women need noise. They need chaos. If there's no fight, they'll invent one. If no one wronged them today, They'll reach into the past or twist the present to find a reason to explode. You'll notice the pattern. Every week, it's a new crisis. One day it's her co-worker, the next it's your tone. You're not in a relationship, you're in a war zone, and the battlefield is emotional. Here's a hard truth that many men ignore. A woman addicted to drama is not emotionally strong. She's emotionally unstable. Her chaos is not passion, it's a coping mechanism. She can't sit in stillness because stillness reflects her emptiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But she's done the opposite. She manipulates outside events because she can't control her own mind. She finds power not in peace, but in how many people she can throw off balance. Let me ask you this. Have you ever come home after a long day hoping for calm, only to feel like you're bracing for impact the moment you walk in? That's not love. That's trauma disguised as intimacy. Your masculine soul thrives in peace. You're wired for clarity, order, and purpose. And if she constantly shatters, that not only is she disrespecting you, she's slowly dismantling you. You cannot build an empire with a woman who thrives in emotional wildfires. Because the truth is, she won't rest until your mind is as chaotic as hers. You can't fix her storm, but you can protect your inner calm. And sometimes that means walking away, not because you're weak, but because you've finally remembered your worth. Sign 4. She's emotionally entitled, but morally empty. There's a kind of woman who walks through the world with an open hand, but a closed heart. She expects loyalty, attention, gifts, and commitment. She demands a man who shows up, checks in, pays up, and never slips. But when the moment comes to give back, to comfort, to support, to grow, she vanishes into silence or worse, turns cold. That's not love. That's entitlement draped in manipulation. You'll hear her say, "I deserve to be treated like a queen." But the real question is, does she ever act like one? Not the crown-wearing kind who rules over men with demands and drama, but the kind that's worthy of being protected, not rewarded for simply existing. You see, Stoicism teaches that virtue is something you live, not something you scream about. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." But this woman, she's all talk. She'll post quotes about self-love, healing, and divine feminine energy, but live with double standards, moral laziness, and no self-awareness. You give her your best, your time, your energy, your heart, and she repays it with apathy, criticism, or silent expectations. You bleed, she drinks, you sacrifice, and she scoffs. The emotional labor is always one-sided. You'll end up questioning your own worth while she never reflects on hers. And that's the trap. A Stoic man doesn't serve chaos, he serves truth. And when a woman's emotional demands aren't backed by moral integrity, you must walk. Not because you're weak, but because you finally remembered your own value. A relationship is not a charity. Love is not owed, it is earned. And if she's morally bankrupt while emotionally overdrawn, you're not her partner, you're her victim. Sign 5. Her past is a trail of emotional wreckage. A woman's past isn't just a timeline, it's a pattern. Look closely, not just at the faces of the men she once called lovers, but at the ruins left behind. Every story she tells is soaked in victimhood. He was controlling, he cheated, he couldn't handle me. And somehow it's always them, never her. That's not coincidence. That's a red flag waving in your face, daring you to ignore it. Here's the hard truth most men don't want to admit. When every man in her past is a monster, she's not the princess, she's the chaos. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." But she doesn't seek to rise above. She dives right back in. She doesn't reflect. She deflects. She doesn't heal. She hunts for another emotional stage where she can play the role of the wounded queen. And if you're not careful, you'll be cast as the next villain in her script. I've seen it firsthand. Good men torn apart, doubting their worth because they fell for the narrative. They thought they could fix her. They believed they'd be the one who stays. But you can't rescue someone who thrives in their own wreckage. You can't lead a woman who only wants to be followed by drama. A woman who avoids accountability isn't a survivor, she's a time bomb. And brother, if you step in thinking you'll rewrite her story, know this, she's already written your ending. And it doesn't end well, so pause, reflect. Ask yourself the most stoic question, is this within my control? Because staying in the storm isn't strength. Walking away with your peace intact, that's power. Sign 6. She uses her wounds as weapons. Pain and scars are part of the human experience. No one escapes without some damage. But here's the brutal truth. A truly toxic woman doesn't seek healing or growth from her wounds. Instead, she weaponizes them. She wields her past pain like a shield and a sword combined, using it to silence your concerns and justify emotional chaos. When she says, "You can't talk to me like that, I have trauma," or "I'm this way because of my past," deal with it. She's not asking for empathy. She's demanding immunity from responsibility. Her wounds aren't gateways to healing. They're chains that bind both her and you in a cycle of blame and stagnation. Think about a man trying to build something meaningful with someone who constantly pulls him back into her emotional storms. Imagine bringing up a problem, seeking clarity or growth, only to be met with a wall of pain turned into weaponized defense. Instead of partnership, it becomes a battlefield where you are the enemy for simply expecting accountability. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Growth demands struggle, accountability, and discomfort. But a toxic woman who uses her wounds as weapons refuses friction. She refuses the very thing that forges strength and character. She drags you down not to share the burden, but to keep you trapped in her unresolved pain. The question every man must ask himself is this: will you be the man who endures friction and rises, or the one stuck polishing another's scars that never truly heal? Because real growth never excuses emotional irresponsibility. It demands it be confronted and overcome. Sign 7. She wants you to fix her but refuses to fix herself. There's a subtle poison in giving your heart and strength to someone who's broken but unwilling to heal. She arrives shattered, emotionally tangled, mentally restless, spiritually lost, and at first, you feel like the hero in her story. You believe it's your mission to repair the cracks, to be the steady hand that pulls her from darkness. But here's the brutal truth. No amount of your effort can change someone who refuses to change themselves. The deeper meaning here is clear. True growth, true healing, comes from within. If she's only seeking your validation, your attention, your energy to fill a void, she's not walking toward transformation. She's walking in circles, dragging you down with her. Picture this. You pour hours of your time, your patience, your love into a woman who constantly asks for more reassurance, more sacrifice, more fixes. But her wounds never close. Instead, they widen. The exhaustion builds. You're not just tired, you're trapped in a cycle of emotional debt that drains your power and clouds your purpose. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste time debating what a good man should be. He simply was one. And a man who spends his life trying to fix another's soul that refuses to heal is losing sight of his own path. The Stoic truth is razor sharp. You can walk beside someone on their journey, but you can't carry them if they refuse to walk. Protect your energy. Your growth demands it. Your peace depends on it, because at the end of the day, the man who saves himself is the man who becomes unstoppable. Conclusion. If even one of these signs struck a chord deep inside you, don't brush it off like it's nothing. This isn't some petty grudge or bitterness we're talking about. It's about honor. As men, we aren't designed to be emotional crutches, endless sources of validation or shadows of ourselves for someone else's drama. You were born to lead your life with strength, to build a legacy that reflects your true worth, and above all, to protect the most valuable thing have your inner peace. Think about it. How many times have you lost yourself trying to hold up someone else's chaos? How many nights have you felt your confidence shrink because you constantly had to tiptoe around emotions that aren't even yours to carry? Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This wisdom applies not only to your actions and words, but also to the relationships you tolerate. If a relationship costs you your clarity, your sense of purpose, your strength, then it's not worth a second thought. Walking away isn't weakness. It's the highest form of self-respect. You owe her nothing, but you owe yourself everything. If this message hit home for you, hit that like button as a sign of your commitment to your own peace and power. Drop a comment saying, "I choose peace," to declare that you refuse to settle for toxic connections that drain your spirit. And don't forget to subscribe to Stoic. Find where raw, unapologetic truths meet timeless wisdom, made for men ready to stand tall and own their destiny. This is your moment. It's time to reclaim your life from chaos, from confusion, from anything that diminishes your fire. Protect your mind, your heart, your purpose, with discipline forged by wisdom and strength, built on Stoic principles. You're not just surviving, you're rising. And Stoic 95 is right here with you on that climb. Own it, live it. Be the man you were meant to be.